Right, okay. Assalamu alaikum again. I'm sort of wait for everybody to join again. Okay. I think everybody's joined now. Right, okay. So belief number 5. Belief number 5 is that the Holy Prophet ﷺ, he was taken with his body. He was taken with his body while he was awake from Makkah Mukarramah to Baytul Muqaddas. And then from Baytul Muqaddas, he was taken to the 7 heavens. And from the 7 heavens, wherever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intended for him to visit, he then visited that specific destination. This journey is known as the Isra and the Mi'raj. There's 2 journeys here. The first journey is known as the Isra, which means the journey from Makkatul Mukarramah to Palestine, Baytul Muqaddas. And the second journey is from the Baytul Muqaddas to the 7 heavens, which is known as the Mi'raj. So these are two different journeys. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions both of them in the Quran Kareem. In the 15th para, Allah ta'ala mentions on the first line, Subhanalladhi asra bi'abdihi laylan min al-masjid al-haram ila al-masjid al-aqsa, which means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually took Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took the Holy Prophet ﷺ on this journey. So if somebody was to neglect the fact that the Isra didn't take place, then that person would not remain a Muslim. Again, the question arises, where did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mention the Mi'raj? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the Mi'raj in Surah Najm, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَأَوْحَى إِلَىٰ عَبْدِهِ مَا أَوْحَى فَأَوْحَى إِلَىٰ عَبْدِهِ مَا أَوْحَى مَا كَذَبَ الْفُؤَادُ مَا رَأَىٰ وَلَقَدْ رَآهُ نَزْلَةً أُخْرَىٰ عِندَ سِدْرَةِ الْمُنتَهَىٰ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does mention that the Holy Prophet did undertake the journey of Mi'raj. So we believe that the Mi'raj took place, and we also believe that the Isra took place. Again, if detail is required, a person could refer to the books of Sirah, and plenty of detail you get from there. Okay, the next part is tawassul. This part is not in the Talim al-Haq. What does tawassul mean? Just very briefly, I want to explain. Tawassul means that when a person makes a supplication, in that supplication, you have an intermediary, you supplicate through somebody's behalf. So the Islamic meaning of tawassul is to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala using those words, actions, or personalities which are accepted and beloved in the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So some examples could be if you take the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for example, the 99 names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, known as the Asma'i Husna, and then you make dua to, and you make supplication to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through them. Another example would be that making supplication through good actions. There's actually a narration in the Bukhari Sharif that 3 people, they were traveling, and they entered a cave, and all of a sudden the mouth of the cave, they became trapped in the mouth of the cave due to a rock. So there were 3 people, 3 friends, all 3 of them, they supplicated to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through their actions. And one of them actually mentioned that they served their parents in a specific way, and they said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they supplicated that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you loved me being obedient to my parents and that I served my parents in such a way, move this rock from the mouth of the cave. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted their prayer, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala moved the rock from the mouth of the cave. All 3 of them did it. All 3 of them they supplicated Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the rock moved. So again, this also shows from authentic hadith that supplication through an intermediary can be made. In the same manner, if somebody were to supplicate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and supplicate through the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so you're not supplicating to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, supplicating through the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that I make such a supplication, and I would like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to be, so through the means and through the speciality and through the greatness of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I make this dua. So you're using the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam as an intermediary. The reason this is important is because in prehistoric times, prior to the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there were people who used to go into the forest and they used to sleep in the forest, when they used to travel, and they would supplicate to the jinn. They would supplicate to the jinn. So this act of supplicating to the jinn was an act of, you can say, idolatry. It was practice of the polytheist, and this would not be allowed in Islam. Okay, so now I'd like to go on to the chapter on deviated sects. Now, I actually mentioned this hadith in one of the earlier sessions. So the Holy Prophet ﷺ says that this nation will be split into 73 groups. The Christians and the Jews were split into 72 groups. This nation will be split into how many groups? 73 groups. And then the Holy Prophet ﷺ then further says that only one group will go to paradise, 72 will go to the fire of hell. So the Sahaba, when they heard this hadith, they became very anxious and they asked the Prophet ﷺ, which nation shall go to the fire, which nation shall be successful? The Holy Prophet ﷺ said very, in a very concise manner, he said that Ma ana alaihi wa ashabi, the path that I follow and the path that the holy Sahaba shall follow, that is the successful path. Anybody who follows any other path would not be deemed successful. So it's about holding strong onto the Sunnah and also holding strong onto the Sunnah of the Sahaba. A person might have a question, and where do the four Imams come into play? We have Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi, we have Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahmatullahi alayhi, we have Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi, and we have Imam Malik rahmatullahi alayhi. These four Imams, they are not a separate group, right? We follow them because we have understood, they actually understood the Sharia, they actually understood the Islamic laws better than us. So if somebody was to ask, do you follow Imam Munif rahmatullahi? Yes, we will say, yes, we follow the Holy Prophet ﷺ, and we actually follow the Quran Kareem through the teachings of Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi, or through the teachings of Imam Malik rahmatullahi. So because these Imams had a greater understanding and they dedicated the whole life to the Sharia and Islam, we follow their teachings, their understanding of the Sharia. An example of following the Sahaba in the time of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet ﷺ is narrated that the Prophet ﷺ only prayed Taraweeh for 3 nights. The Salatul Taraweeh, which takes place in Ramadan, the Holy Prophet ﷺ only performed the Taraweeh for 3 nights. And the reason he stopped was the fear that it may become wajib upon and compulsory upon the Ummah, which at the moment it's not compulsory, it's actually a Sunnah Muakkada. It's an emphasized Sunnah. So in the time of Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he got a few Sahaba together, including Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and they revived the Sunnah of Taraweeh of 20 rakats, 20 units. So this, we would say that this is the Sunnah of the Sahaba. If somebody was to pray 20 rakats of Taraweeh, that would be following the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. You would be following the Sunnah of the Sahaba. It would not be classified as a different group. And I hope that makes sense. So, like I said, there are many deviated sects and groups out there, but there's two I want to focus on in particular, because these are those groups which are prevalent in society. When a person goes to work, when a person goes to university, when you guys who are young, when you grow up, you will definitely encounter groups of Shia and Qadiani, without doubt. Throughout your life, you will encounter such people who try to sow seeds of disunity within the ummah. So it's really important for us to know what beliefs do these people carry, because if you don't know the belief, then how will you know they're wrong? So it's really important to know that why are the Shias wrong? Why are they unsuccessful? Why will they enter the fire of hell due to their wrong beliefs? And why are the Qadianis also wrong? So we'll first of all start with the Shia group. So how did they actually come into being? How did they start off? Well, in the time of Hazrat Usman radiallahu ta'ala anhu, well, till the time of Hazrat Usman radiallahu ta'ala anhu, the whole ummah was united. There's a hadith that mentions regarding Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, the second Khalifa. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to the nearest meaning, he mentioned that Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu was a guarded door against mischief and fitna, against trial and tribulations. So somebody asked Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu, so if you're the guarded door, will that door be opened or will it be broken? Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu, to the nearest meaning again, he mentioned that the door shall be broken open. The door shall be kicked down, which indicates that Hazrat Umar anhu would be martyred, and he was martyred by an individual in the time of his caliphate. So after Hazrat Umar anhu was martyred, many trials and tribulations took place. Hazrat Usman anhu became the Khalifa, and there was a lot of disunity already started. When Hazrat Usman anhu, when he passed away, there was even more disunity. There were groups that wanted revenge for the murder of Usman anhu. There were groups that said that no, we need to wait, and when the ummah becomes united again, we can then carry out this responsibility. One of the people who was responsible for this unity was a Jewish scholar. This scholar's name was Abdullah ibn Sabah. Initially, he claimed that he claimed that he was a Muslim. To be honest, so he was a Jewish scholar. He created a lot of rife and disunity amongst the people in Saudi Arabia, in Hijaz. He claimed that Prophet ﷺ will return to this world. Obviously, people did not pay much attention to that. He then went to Egypt, where he began making similar statements. Then he also made statements about glorification of Hazrat Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu. He actually made statements that Hazrat Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu was the right person to become the caliph. It wasn't Hazrat Usman radiallahu ta'ala anhu. He was deprived of this right. So he's the person who actually started this unity, and you could say that he's the person who actually started the group of the Shiites. So after the martyrdom of Hazrat Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu, the same group, they accepted his son, Hazrat Zainul Abidin rahmatullahi alayhi, was the son of Hazrat Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu. The Shias at that time, they accepted Hazrat Zainul Abidin rahmatullahi alayhi as a fourth Imam. When he passed away, they accepted Muhammad Baqir as the fifth Imam. Then they accepted Hazrat Ja'far Sadiq Rahmatullah alayhi as the sixth Imam. Then differences arose as to who would be the next Imam. Hazrat Ja'far Sadiq Rahmatullah alayhi appointed his son Ismail as his deputy. But what basically happened was that Ismail passed away before his father. So Hazrat Ja'far Sadiq Rahmatullah alayhi, he appointed his other son Musa Kazim as his deputy. Now, what I want to clarify here is that the Shias, they believe in 12 Imams. So these are just some of the Imams. There's many groups in the Shias themselves. So those groups that say that Ismail was the rightful heir to be an Imam, they are called the Ismaili sect, the Ismaili group. And they also believe that the last Imam is hiding in a cave called Ghare Surraman Ra'a, and he shall come out with the remainder portion of the Quran Kareem before the day of judgment. So the Shias, they believe in the 12 Imams. Again, I shall go into detail about that at a later stage. Okay, so I'm going to stop the session here. It's 12:30. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, I'm ready to take questions, and I'll wait a few minutes.